Let's talk about the topic how you can start your own side hustle while you're working your normal 9 to 5 job. Grab yourself a cup of coffee and let's talk about it. Actually pretty good. Right, but first off the question, of course, why would you want to leave your 9 to 5 in the first place, right? And I feel online sometimes people really seem to want to push people to leave their job, which I don't think is actually correct, right? Because some people really love their job, they're happy with their pay, they love to actually work 9 to 5, and that's totally fine, right? I think a lot of people should be better employed than starting their own business. While others might have this urge inside of them, like I did myself, and I'll speak about this in a second. But I think in this case, I think it's an amazing way to start a side hustle, to experiment how it would be potentially if you stood on your own 2 feet and start your own baby, so to say. So I think it's an intermediary step while still having the comfort of your 9 to 5 income, because that gives you stability in life, knowing that you get a fixed salary every single month paid to you, which is amazing. But if you are potentially considering to leave your job, like I was myself as well, then for me it was really 3 things that really made me want to do this transition. Number 1 was, of course, the financial upside, right? I mean, a job can be a well-paid job, but ultimately there's only so much you can ever earn, right? Unless you're the CEO of a major tech company, at some stage there will be a hard cap of how much you can be earning in your job, unless you get some equity and so on. But if you stand on your own 2 feet, then definitely you can scale a business to infinity, so to say. And I think the income potential could be way higher. Second point, and most important point for me personally, was the time and location independence. I could work anytime I wish, anywhere I wish, without having to ask anyone and be at any specific time because someone told me to do so. And that actually brings me to the last point, and that's the fact it doesn't matter how much you earn. And once again, you might have an amazing job that pays you really, really well, 6-figure, 7-figure a year, it doesn't matter. Ultimately, if you still have to ask someone to take a day off or take a holiday, for me, it was just impossible. The older I get, once I have my family growing and so on, I just wouldn't want to be in a situation where I have to ask someone for permission for that. Now, why would you want to listen to me? Because obviously there's a lot of content and videos on this topic online, and you see in one of the comments over here, and it's often very true. Same with any kind of courses. A lot of course makers, they make more money from the courses than what they're actually teaching in the courses themselves. But in my case, I actually was in the very position that I was 15 years in a corporate career, climbing really the career ladder from being a little analyst all the way to becoming a luxury hotel general manager in a 5-star international hotel company, which I really enjoyed. I've been managing hotels around the world. I lived in many different countries, from Switzerland to China, UAE, Lithuania. So really enjoyed it, the global corporate career that I had. But eventually I just felt, there was more to life than following, a corporate footstep, despite all the nice benefits, right? I mean, I had a 6-figure salary, plus amazing perks like apartment, car, petrol, free health insurance. All these things were provided on top of the salary. So definitely very attractive. But still, I thought I could on my own do even better than that without having to play along all the politics that comes as part of a corporate career, of course. And for me, it really started off in around 2020, when we all know what happened. Obviously, hotels couldn't really be operating anymore as they used to. And I was really starting to look around and see what else I could possibly be doing with my time to generate some income on the side. And I did many different side hustles, from starting to dropship some bracelets that I bought in China, made a website on Shopify, sold it. I actually made some sales with it. Then I went to print on demand, where I printed inspirational, motivational canvases that people could hang themselves on the wall with some cool quotes on there. I designed them myself, then had a print on demand store, which was based in Latvia. And from there, anyone ordering through my Shopify website, once again, they would be fulfilled through that store. So actually also made some sales with that, which was really cool. And eventually, I'm so happy I finally, after having many years of that thought of potentially doing my own YouTube channel, which always seemed a bit off because, I was, a general manager wearing a suit and a tie and all these things. So it would be weird to be on YouTube. But I thought, if not now, I will never do it, right? And I'm really glad I eventually pressed the record button and did my first video. And that is that. From there, obviously, I stuck with it over time. And well, here we are, almost 3.5 years later, still loving what I do. And nice to see the channel and community grow, which obviously by now really provides me a platform and an income to live off, and hopefully build even more businesses around in the future. So as you can see, I'm not here to sell you the dream of side hustle. I don't have a course for that, but I really lived it myself. So I hope I can really authentically share with you my experience about that. And I want to talk about 4 things that I think are really important when you want to start your side hustle while being employed. And the first one is a little bit controversial maybe, but that has to do with not following your passion. Now, most people will tell you follow your passion, and to a certain extent, I used to be one of them myself. In general, I think I'm a very passionate person, but what I'm trying to say is that your business model directly doesn't have to 100% correlate with your passion, right? Just because you love playing computer games or PlayStation, that's amazing, you have a passion for it, but to build a whole business around it might be a little bit difficult. And one great example for that is a person that sells toilet paper, right? Now, I don't think anyone wakes up and is excited to sell toilet paper, but trust me, globally, there are many multi-millionaires who are selling toilet paper, right? They have big businesses, everyone needs toilet paper, and you can really build a major business around that. Now, I'm not recommending you to go out there and build the next toilet paper empire, but what I'm saying is, those people, they may not be passionate about their product of toilet paper, but what they are passionate about is the process, the growing the empire, growing the businesses, improving the processes within the company. That's what you should be passionate about, right? The actual business growth, the process of growing the baby, growing your business, growing your side hustle. I think that's very important and you want to enjoy that rather than the final product. If you do happen to like that as well, even better, right? I mean, you might open up a Shopify store for used PlayStation equipment, I don't know, right? That could work. And even more importantly, the monetization aspect of it. Because, any product or service might be great if you love it and enjoy it. It's amazing. But if nobody really buys it, or there's only a very, very small niche market, then I think it's going to be very difficult for you to monetize and therefore live from it, right? If it's supposed to replace your 9-to-5 salary income and hopefully in the future even exceed that you can really live comfortably from it, I think you want to have a big market that you can really continue to grow in the future, like toilet paper, right? So you want to find an addressable market that's big enough that you can really monetize long term. The other day I was speaking with a friend of mine who actually works in the bank, is doing really well, and I was quite surprised when he told me on his side he actually runs an Amazon store where he sells some random items. He's really not passionate about these, but he does it anyway because he sees some opportunities. There's something called Fulfilled by Amazon. He basically buys the product from one supplier and then sells it on Amazon, and he doesn't even do the fulfillment. Amazon does it. They take a small cut. He just optimizes the ranking and that's it. He makes money. And I think it's so cool, so brilliant to see. And again, he's not passionate about this product, but he's passionate about improving, becoming a better marketer, and then maybe one day, if it continues to grow, build his own Shopify store and build a brand around it. That can come later on. But be excited about the process rather than just focusing on the product itself. Now the question, of course, what exactly should you be doing? Just go on the search bar on YouTube, put side hustle ideas 2024, 2025, whenever you watch this video, you're gonna find hundreds, thousands, millions of videos around this topic. It's a very lucrative topic that people like to make videos about, and you will find so many. But I think an even better way is to go on ChatGPT and tell it what you are potentially passionate about or the interests you have, right? And really feed it with as many things as you have. And it can be even things that you're interested about marketing, right? You might like spreadsheets, whatever it is, just put it in there and then say, based on that, give me a list of ideas that I could start pursuing a side hustle or build a side hustle around. And you'll be surprised how many specific side hustles relevant to you will come out of there. For example, you could say, I only want to work from home on my side hustle on the weekends on my laptop, right? And that way you'll be getting ideas really tailored to you. Because when you look at generic ideas, I mean, many times I found really ridiculous side hustle ideas like mowing the lawns or walking dogs, which again, might be applicable to some, but is that really something you're going to build your whole business around and leave your 9-to-5? Pretty unlikely, especially if you want to be location independent. So I would really recommend try it out on ChatGPT. I think it's much more bespoke and tailored to you based on your interests and passions and skills as well. And that brings me to the second point, and that's actually to leverage your 9-to-5 job and what you're doing there and the skills you have already acquired and potentially can continue to acquire. Because depending on what you're working on, maybe you're working in sales, maybe you're working on marketing, obviously you want to be using those skills. And if, for example, there are conferences that you can attend to learn more about a specific topic, to really become a niche expert in that field, make sure you utilize these opportunities. Actually, for me, it was the other way around. As a general manager, as the name implies, I was doing everything a little bit, but nothing really specific, right? The chef was so much better cook than I could ever be myself, right? The same how the salesperson was really a specialist in sales, and I could just, guide that person a little bit. But while doing my side hustles, for example, setting up a website and then running my own ads even on Facebook and Instagram, I learned so many things about that. So when we had our marketing meetings, I could actually guide that person way more because I knew quite a lot about, social media, running ads and so on. So I think it actually goes both ways. You become more valuable as an employer, which in return might potentially lead you to a career progression, a salary increase, what have you. But at the same time also use those learnings from your job, if they're relevant, and apply them to your side hustle. So I think that can be really powerful. And the second part of that point is to, of course, work tirelessly on your side hustle. It's not something that you can just wing and spend one weekend and expect it to start producing money for you, right? It really takes time. You have to be diligent, like anything in life, like getting healthy and fit. It doesn't work by going once or twice a week to the gym for 2 months and you're fit. It takes effort, time, and consistency, and that over time will start compounding. And a lot of people tell me, well, Guy, I don't have time, right? I'm so busy. And I get it. We're all busy. But all of us have a morning before the work, right? So instead of waking up an hour before work, wake up 2 hours. So you have 1 extra hour to start working on it, brainstorming, putting some ideas in place. After work, right? We all have some time after work, hopefully, right? You don't work 14, 15-hour days, so use that time as well. Weekends, your days off. A lot of people, myself included back in the days, used those time to party, and then you would get drunk and not do any work. But actually, save yourself the money of drinking, which I stopped drinking myself now from this year, saves me a lot of money, and you're not going to be having hangovers, and you can use that time to productively work on your business. And honestly, from experience, I can tell you, I had really quite a few conflicts with my wife at the time because I was every weekend when I started my channel so focused on making videos, editing them. It took me hours and hours. Literally, sometimes the whole weekend was filled just recording one video and editing it. It really took me a lot of time. And she said, let's go somewhere. I said, no, I have to do this right now. And then the video ended up getting 100 views. And people would say, why are you spending all that time for that? But I knew if I stick with it over time, I will start seeing the compounding success. And I'm really glad I did, because now obviously I can start seeing the fruits of my labor. But I'm really urging you to stick with something and then put in the hours. You have to really be committed. Now, obviously you don't want to jeopardize your 9 to 5, because if you do it during your work and you get caught, you might risk of losing your job, right? You don't want to do that. So do it either before, after, or on the weekend. And definitely, I think you can really build something nice on the side, and eventually that can morph into a full hustle, right? Now, the third point, it may not apply to everyone, but if you are comfortable with it, then I think starting a personal brand can really help you later on, because you might want to document the process of you building a side hustle, right? Or become a thought leader in your industry, whatever it is. Start building a personal brand. It doesn't mean you have to record YouTube videos now. It can be a personal brand on LinkedIn, right? Where you start, publishing some nice articles once a week, some posts where you share some industry insights, just that people know what you stand for, and you can then later on use that audience once you pivot to something else to either pitch your services, that you have consultations, whatever, or start announcing your new product that you're selling, and people can start following. Because if you have zero audience and you transition from a full-time job to your own business, and then you basically talk to nobody, right? So I think it can really help to get your word out there and put you in a position that people approach you, which I can start feeling now. Previously, I was always the general manager, and people always were reaching out to me because, people want to be friends with the general manager because it gives potentially some benefits and so on. But when I started my own business, right? I mean, nobody knew what I'm doing. What is this? Now you're a YouTuber, so I had a lot of questions and so on. But now that I'm slowly starting to have a bigger audience, it's funny, even brands start approaching me. So I really recommend you. I think it can be super, super powerful. Now, I understand not everyone might feel comfortable putting themselves out there. You could also do this under an alias, for example, right? For example, I didn't put my full name, right? It's not my first name and last name. I have kind of a name that has my first name, but at the same time, it's kind of a slightly different name that fits for my niche of finance. Because I also felt a little bit uncomfortable that when people look up my name on Google, they find my YouTube channel, right? Because I did it for almost 2 years while I was still employed, and I felt a bit uncomfortable about this because on one hand side, I'm that corporate persona, and on the other side, I'm a YouTuber in a black shirt talking about finance, right? And I was always a bit worried that somebody might discover me, and I never told anyone about it until I really went full time for it. But yeah, again, it's up to you. As long as you don't do anything controversial, I think there's nothing wrong with it these days. And most people are going to be on social media. So I would recommend you, if you feel comfortable with it, I think can really help you later on. Now, the last point is, of course, a very important point, and that's the decision of when you want to leave your 9 to 5 for your new side hustle and potentially make that your main hustle. Because of course, it's amazing to have your 9 to 5 income, that consistency, safety, salary paid to you every single month, while you still get a bit of bonus, additional income every single month from your side hustle. But at some stage, you need to decide, right? Do you want to pursue this full time, or you kind of want to let this fizzle off, or you want to keep it that way? Maybe for some of you, you're happy by having your 9 to 5 and have a little bit of side hustle. But for some of you watching, eventually, back to my earlier point, you might want to have full time and location independence, and that you can only really get if you have your own business. So for me, and what I recommend for most people, that point came when my side hustle generated as much as are paid in monthly living expenses. I think that's really important because you want to know how much are your monthly living expenses. And I actually made a template for this, which you can use. You can find this down in the description below, download it free of charge and use it for yourself. And I really recommend you to do so because I do this every single month. I basically put here all my income from my various income sources, previously my 9 to 5, plus my other side hustle incomes. Then, of course, very important, your spendings, right? On all the different things like restaurants, all the various categories. That way I knew how much I would be saving every single month. You will see this then basically per month. How much was your profit? Hopefully you made a profit that month. And that will help you to determine how much you should be making from your side hustle to pay for your monthly living expenses, because you don't want to be in a risky situation that you have to live off your savings. I know quite a few people who just leave their 9 to 5. They say, I'm fed up, I'm going to do my own thing. And that is a way, of course, as well. Some people manage to save up 12 months or 24 months of living expenses. Of course, it gives you a bit of a cushion. But if you have zero money coming in, then for me, it would be really hard. It would put so much pressure to start making something. And I'm not sure I would like that. Now, it may work for you, but I would rather be in a situation where I know that my side hustle at least generates my living expenses, so I don't have to dip into my savings. Because again, you might still have an emergency case where you need that money, right? You don't want to use that for your living expenses. You want to use that for emergencies, or you want to still continue to invest your money ideally to grow your net worth over time. So I think that's a really important point, that you start having money coming into you. And of course, it might fluctuate, right? A 9 to 5 paycheck is very fixed. It's every month the same amount. Maybe over time it can let increase, but it's a fixed amount. While your side hustle might fluctuate. And this is the case for me as well, right? I make money from YouTube ads, affiliate income, sponsorships, as well as my Smart Money Club. And of course, those numbers can fluctuate up or down a little bit, but more or less I have an idea of how much I spend versus how much I get. And at least you want to be on a similar figure. If you spend 2,000 euros a month, but only generate 200 a month, well, then maybe it's still a little bit too early for you to really transition full time into your side hustle and make this your main hustle. If you still have any questions about any of the things I spoke about today, let me know down in the comments below and I'll get back to every single one of you. Next up, check out this video over here. As always, thanks a lot for watching. Stay healthy, get wealthy, and I'll see you in the next one. Ciao.